Welcome to the Echo Essentials podcast. My name is Chris Piekarski, and on today's episode, we have friend of the show, friend of the community, friend of myself, former MP and Speaker of the House, Anthony Rota, to talk with us a bit about his life in his retirement phase, or whatever that retirement phase looks like for him. We catch up with him, we pull him some ideas about our current government and, the federal election that happened back in the spring, his thoughts on it, his relationship with Pauline Rochefort, his relationship with other different politicians, whether it's Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre, even Trump. Talk about Trump in this episode, which would be great for the algorithm. Shout out to those watching. But it was a great conversation with Anthony, just because it's been a while since we've had him in. We had lots to talk about. We still have more to talk about, of course. And he said, the back end of the episode, that he's welcome to come in and chat more, especially as we approach the next guaranteed election, which would be our local municipal election, which is going to happen in the fall of 2026, so about 1 year. But yeah, we mixed it up. It's great. We highly encourage you to give it a full listen. Feel free to like, share, give us a comment, tell us let us know what you think of the episode, which we'll get to in the footer, obviously. But let us know what you think. It was nice to catch up with Anthony. He shared a lot of unique, insightful things about our system, including our electoral system, all good stuff. But I'm not going to spoil it all for you. I'll let the episode and me and Anthony do that through the course of the episode. So before we get to that, though, we're going to throw it to our title sponsor, Source for Sports.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street, and let us help you along your way.
And on today's episode, we have friend of the show and friend of mine, former MP and former Speaker of the House, Anthony Rota. Anthony, how are you?
Very good, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you back. I feel like last time we had you here was for something else, but it's nice to get you in the studio today. And yeah. I feel like it's been a bit since I've seen you, at least had some time to chat, because it's been a while, and our paths have crossed and being in North Bay. And so it's good to see you, across the table here today to talk to me. It's great.
Great to be here.
So let's check in on you. Like, what's been up with you lately? What's Anthony Rota's world like right now?
Actually, it's quite nice. It's a little bit more relaxed than it was since the election in May. I've been retired officially.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Well, and we built a house out in Astorville, so I've been spending quite a bit of time out there. Right after the election, actually leading up to it, I had quite a number of calls for sitting on different boards or different possibilities, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to leave it till the end of the year, and I'm quite enjoying it. So, nice. I'm still involved in a few things. I've got some properties and a couple of boards that I am helping out, and quite lucky to have a new MP who reaches out once in a while to see, okay, what's the history on this or what's going on there? So, just yesterday she was driving to Ottawa and we had maybe about 20-minute, half-hour conversation on the phone, which works out really well. So, no, it's been interesting. It's good. Life is good.
Good, because we're going to talk a bit about our current MP because I want to explore some of that, relationship or history or inner dynamics because, you were our MP for quite a while, like a pretty mostly uninterrupted stint. Obviously, we talked a bit of that one election before off air, but you have been, the face of federal politics in North Bay for such a long time. For you, once you decided to enter this new stage of your life and enter like a, we'll call it a retirement phase or era, how did it feel for you to kind of step away from being MP and be like, you know what, it's time for something different?
I've done this before where I've done something. I usually put my whole heart into it when I do something. And then when it's over, it's over. It's time for the next phase. So the transition was not that difficult. So it's worked out fairly well.
Fair.
And I it's not like the decision was made right away. I had made the decision about, I guess 2 years before I announced it. So it kind of came up and I had time to get ready for it.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a fair point. Because I think a lot of people would imagine that, if you're really into politics, you'll stay in it forever. And, it depends on like what level of politics you want to stay into. But I mean, we talked a bit about it on air or off air before that you were part of once upon a time municipal council for the local level, done some other committees. And so even though maybe some of our younger listeners will remember you more as like our MP, it goes further beyond that. And so you've had quite a lengthy history of being a politician and being in politics in Canada and North Bay. And so again, congratulations on the retirement. I will say it again. But I want to pick your brain on some stuff going on in our world today. So you talked a bit about our current MP of Nipissing-Timiskaming, Pauline Rochefort. How do you guys work together? Like, did she ever call you up? She clearly called you up for half an hour.
Yeah, no. Whenever she's got questions on the history of something, like, what happened back then, or how's this influencing what's going on now, or she might just have a question on how did you handle this. She is super. I mean, she is really working hard, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for her. So, I mean, if I can help her in any way, I'm there for her. I mean, and that's the way I've always been. And sometimes even with other parties, whether if they're looking for something that's going to benefit all of us, then it deserves the time. But she has been super. I mean, anytime there's an issue that needs some background, I'm open.
I'm a little jealous, Anthony. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little jealous because we've been trying to get Pauline in here since she got elected, and she's a very busy person.
She is.
We have ins, and it doesn't matter. We're trying to get her in, but she's doing the work she has to do. So she makes time for you. I'm like, oh, come on, Pauline, like call to order here, answer our calls. But you're very busy. I'm just joking.
She is.
She's doing lots of work.
She's involved in a lot of stuff. I mean, and what's interesting is sometimes I'll get up on a Saturday morning and look at Facebook and see that she's at such a place and such another place. And I mean, the riding it starts way down in Trout Creek and it goes way up to Englehart and beyond. And so, I mean, it's a huge riding. And I look at it and just think, okay, it's not me.
Yeah, it's fair.
I do miss part of it where you are out there.
Yeah.
But it's getting there and it takes up your entire life. It really does consume your life. And you don't really realize it until you leave and you realize, man, I never really had much of a life myself other than what I was doing for politics.
Right. And so now you're building this new home. You have all these different ideas down the way. You're getting some time for yourself.
It is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice. So actually, we do want to talk a bit about that last election.
Sure.
If we can, because last time we had you in, it was before the election. And I don't know if at the time Pauline was confirmed. I don't think she was.
I don't think so either,
as the candidate. And obviously, we talked a bit about what your forecast might be. Now it's after the fact. Let's do some Tuesday morning couch quarterback here. It's months after the fact, but just for the reference, this was like when we started doing the election coverage for the federal election. I think it's like my first or second or third week being here. So I kind of jumped right into the fire pretty quickly, which was like a really interesting time. The content was really good. Everyone loved to like talk a bit about politics, and there was a lot happening, and there's a lot of really diverse and oftentimes very dual opinions. But now that it was all over, I'm keen to hear what your thoughts on the whole process was like, because you were, a spectator, right?
It's kind of interesting being on the outside. And again, on the election trail, people don't realize the amount of time that goes into an election. I mean, you live and breathe it 24 hours a day. You start off, you go, you run. If you have to be in a certain spot, you're there. Sometimes there's debates, although this one, there was only one debate. I mean, I had as many as 6 debates when I was there.
I thought you had a lot more than that, yeah.
Yeah, so this one's just the one, and it was televised. There was no audience, no spectators, just Kojiko, which I looked at it, and I was kind of envious a bit, but no, it worked out really well.
Yeah.
But it's something that when you're going through the election, it's all or nothing, basically. So it was nice this election to be able to help out once in a while, go out and again, like, if Pauline needed any I'm not going to say advice, but just counseling on what had worked and what hadn't worked in the past, or just plain support, I was there. But a lot of the day-to-day grind, it was just kind of nice to watch it from the outside.
Yeah. At that point, you were like, you know what? I'm not putting the pads on anymore. I'm going to watch the game.
Exactly.
Talk about the football metaphor. I think it was the most I've ever been involved, especially on like the public eye side of things. So I've been involved in communications and media to a certain extent, but to the level of which, and I'm not a big politics guy. I have opinions, but like I'm not a politician. So to get kind of in on the camera side, I was like, okay, I got to get my stuff right. I get my duds right, and I did a ton of homework. And like, I was a little shocked that there was only one debate. If we can talk about that, I felt like, I thought it was fast. I thought the debate was like, it was a very tight 60 minutes, and I had some information about like they had to do some reshoots before and some other stuff, but it was tough because it felt very fast. It didn't feel like very interactive.
It was a very different one. I mean, when I remember the ones we had, usually they were in front of a crowd. And the crowd got up and asked the questions. So you really had no idea where they were going to come from.
Yeah.
This one, I guess, was a little tighter, a little different, and there was time for us. I remember the one up in Uliskard, I think was 2 to 3 hours or something. It just went on and on.
3 hours?
Oh, it was amazing how long it lasted. But it just went on. And even the ones here in North Bay, especially when they first started off in the south end of the riding, and then there was one on the environment, and then there was one on the economy, and everybody had their own debate that they wanted to have. And I mean, no candidate is going to say no. And they forced you to get ready, so they were good for you.
Yeah.
And I was going to say most of them were kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
Especially if you did okay on them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which I was kind of happy with. So I was fortunate that way.
You've always been a good speaker. I mean, you have very good order skills. And I think that helps if you're looking to go into politics. But you're right. I mean, I think it's probably a different level of enjoyment if you feel like you kind of got some points out of those sessions. And I thought it was tough because I think the advantage of having the debate on Cogeco, which it's been on Cogeco before, if I'm correct.
Yep.
But it has like the distribution across the riding. But it was like, well, there's some pockets that maybe could have had, some really interesting conversations. Like, I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone here, but like, did there not used to be a French debate once upon a time in the region? And there was an environmental one. There may have been one at up on the campus. I think maybe that was maybe more provincial, but there were other pockets.
The university would have debate as well.
And so I was like, oh man, we have less stuff to talk about, but like the debate I thought it was insightful. And for me, it was definitely a cast of characters. I would have loved to see, as many of them up there as possible. And I think we only got 3. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Pauline, it was Gary, and I believe it was Kathleen.
That sounds about right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I remember years ago where we had, a whole array of people up there. Yeah. And it just took a while, but nice thing about it is you get everybody's opinion and you get to hear from everyone as well. So it gives the voters a chance to see exactly what's available to them.
Right. And so from the outcome of this election, I was up texting Dave Dale up until like 1 a.m. I was dialed in, right, Anthony? I was really paying attention because I spent all these weeks covering it, but like this was an election I really, really cared about. And getting up into the hours of where Pauline was leading early, and then it kind of flipped.
It was a seesaw, back and forth, and it was painful.
And they got to a point where it was like they were within, I think, 20 votes. I'm like, oh my gosh, our riding's doing this again. And then it changed, obviously. In this situation, the red instead of the blue. Like you could tell people were like really, it was really one side or the other this time around, which felt very, I don't know, maybe anti-Canadian, historically speaking.
It's been a tight one over the years. I mean, there's been some where it's been a landslide, but others where it's been a lot closer. This one, with everything that the Conservatives had gone through, I thought they would do better than they did. But I think maybe their choice of candidate, Gary was a great guy, very competent, very good. But he wasn't from the area. I know he has some property out in Powassan.
Say no more. We already talked about my family connection with Gary. Yeah. It's very interesting.
But I mean, I'm surprised that the Conservatives didn't go out and get someone who was local and very strong. Because usually when someone is retiring, this is your opportunity. Yeah. And I thought it was a missed opportunity for the Conservatives.
Yeah, I felt like they were leaning on, and again, this is just me, speculating and talking about after the fact.
It's always
Hindsight's
great.
20/20,
It's
right?
exactly what I just did. I mean,
Right.
it's you're wondering why certain things were done.
I guess maybe like my brain would think like, well, they're picking Gary because he's been involved in politics in Parliament Hill for eons, as long as I can remember.
He's a staffer.
He's a staffer. He's been like a spokesperson on TV and CBC and stuff, and so like you'd think he would know, and he did. He was a very good speaker.
He's very good, very competent.
But it was close.
Yeah,
it was close, and I think you're probably right that if they picked someone who maybe didn't have the fair or unfair critique of potentially being a quote unquote parachute candidate, which people would debate on, obviously.
No. I mean, if you look in Toronto, Montreal, very few people live in their ridings. They're next door, or they're just because they can't fit into it. But there's an opportunity, and they take it. Once you get into rural Canada, it's almost like, okay, why are they bringing this person in from the outside?
It feels strategic.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just a different mentality than the big cities.
Right. And so after the election, the Liberals maintained their government, a minority government. It was close to being a majority, a couple seats out. But we see now Prime Minister Mark Carney is now our new Prime Minister. Have you had any relationship with Mark Carney in the past?
I know Mark. I mean, we've spoken on the phone, and I've met him in person a few times. Yeah. We've talked briefly, but no, I was very impressed with him. I think that was the right choice to make. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm biased, being Liberal, but I think he's the right choice in that he's centering the party again.
It felt like he was centering kind of.
Exactly. Well, it seems like he's centering. We'll know once the budget falls whether he is brought forward, whether he's actually centered it or not. I think is a few steps there, maybe a few budgets to rein things back in. Under Justin Trudeau, I mean, Justin really was more of a, we'll say, progressive prime minister, where spending was something he did well. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that went out there, but it was quite extensive. Yeah. Now we look at Mark Carney more like a Jean Chrétien type, who will bring things back to the center and be a little bit more pragmatic than Justin was. And I think he's the right guy to do it. I mean, when I look at what he has to offer, I mean, this guy's a PhD in economics. I mean, he's been the governor of the Bank of Canada, Bank of England, and he's run a business. He's been the chair of a board of directors. He has a lot to offer.
He's got his chops.
And politics is not always easy. It's not as black and white as when you're in business or when you're making the sole decision. Right. But I think he's doing things. And one of the things I really admire about him is I've been around politics a long time, and there's nothing I hate more than you ask somebody a question and you get a packaged line that has been sitting in the back of that person's head for
you're
the
preaching
longest
the choir
time.
here.
It just rubs me the wrong way. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about. With Mark, you don't get that. I mean, you get an honest answer, and you get an explanation why that answer is being given. He understands what's going on. It's not just something that was fed to him by a handler.
Fair. Yeah, I do appreciate, and we talked about it on the show when we did our coverage, how sick I was getting of hearing a lot of like campaign slogans, which are part of the game. I get it, but like hearing it not just like in a marketing sense, but like in a personal sense, I'm like, okay, well, this just feels kind of forced, and like everyone kind of did it, but I didn't get the same degree from Mark. No, when I heard him speak, not that I met him, but like from when I heard him. When he's on a podium, he wasn't doing it quite as much as maybe someone like Pierre Poilievre might, who was definitely had his slogans.
It's and I think people kind of saw through that and thought, okay, well, where's the substance?
I just felt like I'm curious to talk about this with you because Pierre is now back in the fold.
Yes.
He was out of the game for a bit. He kind of got given a layup, if you would call it that. I will call it that. You don't have to. Out in Alberta to to retain a seat as an MP to become the leader of the Conservative Party again. Obviously, he's probably looking at running again whenever that is. But he had such a crazy lead at one point, which I make comparisons to the Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots. Shout out to the Echo Sportscast, where you had like a gigantic lead, then you kind of blew it. There was a lot of different factors there, but I felt like it was kind of also more like a referendum on Pierre's popularity. It was more like a lot of people seemed to vote him instead of Justin because they were maybe Justin fatigue, or some, obviously concrete policy, differences. But it felt like they were just kind of picking Pierre because he wasn't Justin. And then since there was someone who was not Justin, the tides kind of changed again. Like, do you feel like that was fair? Do you think he kind of maybe what do you think about his campaign? What do you think about his results? Because
he had a campaign against Justin Trudeau, and he was successful. I mean, he tore down Justin.
He did.
To the point where nobody could stand him anymore.
Yeah.
And he was very successful at it. Unfortunately, he didn't offer enough substance. And when I look at what we have now, I think he has a choice to make. And this is, I'm not here to give anybody advice or anything, but I'm just giving my own opinion. When I look at him and I think, okay, he has one of two choices. One, he can try to tear down Mark Carney and bring him to the same level as he did with Justin. That's a possibility, and that could be one of the tactics he used. And by doing that, then he becomes the alternative. I think he's blown that chance. That's gone. That was with Justin. He did too good a job and got rid of Justin.
The ticket's punched, yeah.
Yeah. If Justin hadn't left, I think he would be Poilievre would be the prime minister
Probably.
right now. But Justin stepped down, and I think he can thank Chrystia Freeland for that one.
Yeah.
But I won't touch that one for now.
You're welcome to,
but I personally, I think if Pierre wants to get ahead and make it, he's got to start coming up with policies that make sense, which he has some in his back pocket. I mean, they're not void of policies. It's just bringing them up. And with Carney, Mark is bringing forward some right-wing policies to bring the party back to the center. If Pierre can just put them forward and say they're mine, if Mark adopts them, he can say, well, he's taking my ideas,
right,
and claim them and actually have a positive there to bring him up. I mean, that's my own way of doing things and my way of looking at it, which I'm not sure the Conservative Party is ready to do or Pierre Poilievre is ready to do. But it would be interesting to see it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Right now, we're still, I think, in a honeymoon phase with Mark Carney, and that's fair. That usually lasts about a year. This one is going to be a little bit tougher with Trump south of the border. But as we get over the honeymoon phase, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and what comes up.
I do want to talk about Mr. T.
Yes.
I'll be pitting no fool here. We'll get to him. But I thought, interestingly enough, that, I think Pierre had an opportunity to do exactly that, because didn't Mark alter or change or modify severely the way in which the carbon tax was, collected or tallied, which is what was Pierre's I think it was one of his primary slogans, axe the tax.
He had two things, the tax and Trudeau. He got rid of both of them, but didn't take the credit for it. I mean, granted, the Liberals did it, but he just didn't. It just kept going on the negative side, which I think people get tired of after a while.
I think people got tired of it because, oddly enough, he failed successfully. Right, the things that he wanted to get done or changed probably got changed, but it didn't happen for him.
Yes.
Right, it happened. In principle. So I thought it was interesting. We're not done here from Pierre. I'm sure we'll hear more about Pierre as we get there. But
they do have the leadership review coming up in this winter.
That's right.
I believe it's in February.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to see how that turns out, whether people in the Conservative Party feel that we need someone new or do we continue with what we have?
What do you think would have to happen for Pierre to lose his edge in that regard?
I'm not sure. I mean, you'd have to be in the Conservative Party to really know what's going on and see what kind of majority he's going to need. Some people say 50%. As long as 50% are in favor of him staying on as leader, then he stays. Others are saying at least 65%, 67%, and higher. I mean, it really is up to him to decide where he wants us to go.
Right, because I think that's going to have a really interesting impact on if the minority government goes into an election 2 years post-election, who they have in that seat for the Conservatives, right? Because that's going to really indicate, or it's going to it's going to absolutely determine like their brand,
Yeah.
their flavor
No
of how they
question.
want to be a conservative, right?
As much as we hate to say it, in Canada, the leader does make a difference. And
very clear.
I've always been that people are voting for their local MP. And that's something that I believe strongly in. And I usually decide on who's the best person locally. And doesn't always mean you pick the same party, but you pick the person who's going to represent you best in Ottawa or even Toronto or anywhere else for that matter. Unfortunately, more often than not, we look at the states and they have a presidential system where everybody looks to the president, and that determines the successes all around. And we tend to look at it the same way here, unfortunately.
It's a little different, yeah. But let's talk about Donald, because we got to. I mean, obviously, he's been saying a lot of stuff lately. He's kind of back to, calling us 51st state, which, obviously, I'm not a huge fan of. Have you ever met Donald?
No, I haven't.
You haven't had the pleasure.
I haven't had the pleasure. That's a nice way of putting it. No, I've met Barack Obama, Joe Biden, nice people. I've spoken with them. Unfortunately, no, I haven't had the chance to meet the Donald.
So let's meet the Donald. I hate that he has the "the" in front of it. Should be for titles only. But
It's a title. I'm not sure it's a good one, but it's a title.
He certainly is a title of figure. What do you think of his second term? Like, I know it's like a more of an American conversation, but it has obviously direct impacts, especially with the tariff stuff. And we could talk a bit about maybe the provincial side, what that ad looked like. I know you have a little more provincial stuff, but it's hard not to talk about politics in our country without the elephant in the room, the elephant being the president of the United States, because he's had such a profound impact on how we view stuff. He was a very obvious variable in our last election with who we'd vote to kind of negotiate. How do you think, like, what's your view now, I guess, as a former MP with how he views our system in our country?
Well, he's got a way of looking at things that is all about what's the latest deal or what's the latest thing that we've done or what can we do, which when you're looking at a country, you want to look beyond that. And one of the things that I've always complained about our system, and it's pretty well all democratic systems, is you're looking to the next election or you're looking to the next 4 years as opposed to maybe looking at the next 10, 20, 40 years. And when you look at our electoral system, that's what we do basically is we're looking 4 years at a time. Yeah, we have some long-term stuff, but a lot of it is, okay, what's going to happen before the next election? How can we make it so that it's going to be successful? You look at China, for example. Theirs is a little different, and I'm not extolling the virtues of China by any stretch, but their leadership looks not at the next electoral cycle, not at the next business cycle, but like the next generational cycle,
it's
like
very long
20, 40, 60 years ahead. And any investment they make is made for that long term. And that's frightening because in the long term, I think they're going to run circles around us. In the short term, we may feel lucky and feel like we're doing okay. But in the long term, when you look at all the investments that China has made in countries in South Africa, in the Middle East, this is stuff that's going to come back to them. I mean, yeah, they'll lend you the money to do the infrastructure, but when you can't repay that, there's going to be a payment to be made of some sort. So now what brought me here was about Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. His are very short term. It's almost like what's in it today and what's in it for me now. And it's almost like you see people in business do that. And the American mentality, well, I shouldn't even say the American mentality, the capitalist mentality is you grow fast and you grow big and you try to quash your opponent completely as opposed to letting them flourish so everyone can prosper. And when you're running a country, you want to make sure that there's a lot of prosperity for everyone. You can't just have a small group that is doing well because then you end up with an oligarchy. And the United States is pretty close to that if they're not there right now. I mean, some would venture to say that they're already there.
Yeah.
And he's part of that oligarchy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's running the country that way. And,
yeah.
I mean, you could say he's a bully. And when you're dealing with a bully, it's really, you try to just walk away from it. Unfortunately, Canada has tied their fortunes to the United States over the last 30 years. And geographically, we've done it for a long time.
Yeah.
How do we get out of this? The diversity that's going on now, the diversification that's going on now within our economy and with other economies, I think is important. It's not something that happens overnight, unfortunately.
No.
I think it's a wake-up call. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of a gradual wake-up rather than being shaken out of that sleep. But I think one of the big things right now is the provinces dealing with each other. I mean, tariffs are items that you use when you're trying to protect a new industry, or you've got something, an industry that's having a hard time. That tariff works, and it's there for a reason, but it's something you keep very specific, and you keep it for a short time. If you keep it for too long, that industry becomes dependent on it, and it becomes inefficient, and that's not a good thing. Whereas using it as a weapon is not the way to use tariffs. And that's something that I'm hoping that the Supreme Court of the United States deals with because right now there's a loophole there, a perceived loophole that Donald Trump is using. And I'm hoping that the Supreme Court shuts that loophole down and it will be Congress again who makes those decisions on what tariffs to impose.
North Bay's turning 100, and what a time to be here. From the buzz of the Heritage Parade to sunset concerts at the waterfront, the city is alive with celebration. And you know who's right in the middle of it all? Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. We're proud to be a part of this milestone moment. Whether you're coming home from a family reunion, planning a gathering with friends, or just simply making the most of everything the Centennial has to offer, our doors are open. Stay in a spacious suite that feels like home, with a full kitchen to cook in, room to relax, and a space to unwind after a full day of fun. Are you hosting something bigger? Our event spaces and amazing local partners like the Grand and Stock Transportation make it easy to bring people together. Best of all, they're just steps from the action. The fireworks, the food trucks, the music, the laughter, it's all right here. Celebrate 100 years of North Bay with us. Use code Centennial to save on your stay anytime this year. Be at home with Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Join the party today at 495 Oak Street West or give us a call at 705-495-3000.
Dear North Bay, you've always been more than a place on the map. You're home to me. This is where I built a life with my husband, raised our kids, and taught in local schools for over 24 years. I'm proud to be part of this community. Earlier this year, my world shifted. After living with anxiety, depression, and PTSD for much of my life, I reached a point where I couldn't keep going alone. Walking into the emergency department at the North Bay Regional Health Center was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But what I found there changed everything. A nurse who made me feel safe, a crisis worker who truly listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. That care gave me hope, and it inspired me to give back by supporting local healthcare so that others in our community can access the same compassionate care I did. If my story resonates with you, I hope you'll consider supporting the NBRHC Foundation. Please visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give. Because mental health is health. With gratitude, Tiffany Van Meer.
I don't get the bully tactics. Like in my limited understanding of politics, like I just can't understand how this style of international play is anything but detrimental in terms of like the country's soft power, right? Like it might, attract a certain kind of, leader and be like, oh, you're being strong. But like for the ally that we are to the States, like you're kind of disrespecting us. Like you're not really treating us as the ally that, we would want to be treated as. And so it comes off as very just like, I don't know, brazen and short-sighted because like, yeah, I mean, every 4 years they might have a bit of like an elastic effect where it goes back and forth. But like, what's the long-term effects of potentially alienating your closest ally? I just don't get it.
And it's not just one ally; it's many allies, and I think it's going to hurt the U.S. In the long run. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Mm-hmm. Is this going to do it? I don't think so because there's a lot of jobs that the U.S. doesn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the smaller jobs, I mean, they're essential. Some of the manufacturing jobs are essential to have, and you really have to keep them to a certain extent. But on the other hand, you don't have a population who's willing to do them. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost you a lot more to have that product than to have someone come up with the idea, innovate, make sure that they have the product in place, and they might get it manufactured somewhere else, but a lot of that profit will come back to the country of origin.
Yeah.
And that's something that benefits the U.S.
Yeah, well, it's been offloaded to different countries for manufacturing for a long time, which is where China has seen such gains on the global market because they've been such tremendous manufacturers, obviously, especially in terms of like tech. But let's talk a bit about some of that international business stuff, that stylings of choice, right? Because we talked a bit about how where Trump is running it kind of like a business, which is whether it's a strength or a critique, it depends on the person. But what kind of played to Carney's strength was that he did come from a economics business perspective, which again is kind of two different people, very different, order style. Speaking of speaking, I guess part of that attraction to what people who may have voted for Mark Carney as prime minister through their MP system was that he would kind of approach things at a more middle ground, financial level, international business angle, because he wants to diversify Canadians or Canada's international trade market in partnerships, which he's been trying to do a little more lately. But like you said, it takes time. Would you say, like, from the outside looking in, he's doing a good enough job at that? Like, do you think there's enough grounds there for that to be sustainable for not just the short term but the long term?
Well, I think he's working at it, and I mean, where he is now, he's in Asia,
yeah,
and he's working with other countries, whether it's China, India, Vietnam, other countries, to get that relationship going. It's not something that happens overnight, but you have to work at it, and he's been working hard at it. How successful is it going to be over the first year, second year, third year? I'm not sure. Like I said, this is a long-term thing, and the one favor that Trump is doing us is that he's forcing us to actually do that and get our dependency off of the United States. I have a lot of friends who are Americans, and a lot of them who say, like, this is insane. This isn't who we are. But I do have some friends who are saying, hey, this is great. We're taking over the world. I mean, it's
didn't ask for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's their right to think what they want.
Yeah, fair.
Imperialism has long gone, I thought, but this is something that we look at and we kind of wonder where it's going to go. But time will tell whether Mark Carney's way of doing things is the right way. I mean, it's the way I would do it. It's more of a friendly way of doing it. It's more of a collegial way of doing it. Now, I've always believed that, okay, if one person is standing there and he pushes the other guy back to get ahead, that's not a good thing. Whereas if you both grab hands and let's run at it, you'll get a lot more done.
Fair point. I like that. So before we get off the tariff conversation, do you have any thoughts on the most recent news item, which I'll give some context for? With, I believe it was the Ford provincial government in Ontario. They released I call it an attack-style ad criticizing tariffs through the voice of Ronald Reagan, aimed at obviously a lot of different markets in America. And then Trump's blowback was, we're canceling all trade talks. We're going to potentially increase tariffs by another, I think, what was 10%?
10%, yes.
This feels like a comedy. It feels like a dark comedy of like how this is happening, because I didn't think it would ever come to our grasp, but here it is. Do you have any thoughts on this? I'm curious.
I mean, when you look at the ad itself and the effect it's had, I mean, obviously it's been very successful. It depends on what you see as success. It certainly made Canadians feel better. Like, finally we're punching back, but we're punching a bully, and he's bigger than us. So I'm not sure there's a line in one of my favorite musicals is Man of La Mancha, and
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote, and there's a line in there that whether the rock hits the vase or the vase hits the rock, it's not going to be good for the vase. So, and this is a situation where you look at, we felt good doing that. Like, good, we got Trump and we got him upset. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure what the results are going to be and what was the effects we're going to have in the long run. The fact that he cut off the negotiations, maybe he was just looking for an excuse to cut off negotiations. And we gave it to him, or Ford gave it to him. It's going to be interesting to see what the effects were down south. As far as negotiations go, I think Mark Carney put it best when he says, well, negotiations happen between the two federal levels of government, not between provincial or state and federal. The question I guess I have is, how would we feel if the governor of Michigan decided to put out ads against something that Mark Carney was doing or our prime minister was doing?
Automotive, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's a bold move on Ford's part. It's been effective. But have we gotten the results we wanted out of it, or are we going to get any results out of it? That yet has to be seen. And I'm not sure on that one.
I'm not sure either, Anthony. I mean, like, I feel like we're all just kind of on this boat, and then, you know, these captains are steering the ship, and we're just like, well, hope we don't see water,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But, like, it's tough because I guess depending on what response you wanted, if I was Doug Ford, what a silly thing to say. Like, what are you looking at getting out of this? Are you looking at, provoking the bear? Are you looking at, like, having some more pride, tapping on that Canadiana spirit? Like, I don't know exactly. I don't know. I mean, I do know that it seems like, Ford and Carney and a lot of, I won't say all necessarily, a lot of the premiers have been working together and have been on the same page on this, which kind of feels nice as a Canadian, because no matter, where our lines are drawn, no matter what, color our provinces in terms of blue, orange, red, whatever, we're kind of all mostly on the same page, which I guess feels kind of coordinated. I know it's not always perfect to do that, but I have to think there has to be some sort of outcome. And if that's just to, like, maybe he was anticipating, and I don't know, now I'm just, like, really spitballing, right? It feels like with Trump, at least, he flip-flops so often that, like, this could have been an outcome even if we didn't do that.
You're probably right.
Like,
that 10% and calling off trade talks could have been there regardless.
It could have happened.
Yeah, you don't know, because, I mean, usually with foreign policy, with economic policy, there's a vision and it's thought out, okay? Whether it's right wing or left wing or centrist, whatever, you know where somebody is going. This guy, you have no idea. I mean, it changes from not even day to day, minute to minute. If he looks at something and it affects him a certain way, one of the things I find interesting, and they had done this to Biden, on most headlines in the papers in the last little while, Donald Trump, 79, and then they go on with the thing, with the headline. They're starting to emphasize his age for a reason, and this is the media that's doing it. So it's kind of interesting, just something I noticed recently in the last few weeks. So I don't know if they're hinting at something or whether they're trying to build a narrative against Trump. Yeah. This is the American media, not even Canadian media.
Fair.
So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes out. Again, with him, he's unpredictable, but that's something he's been all his life. And if everyone did business the way he did business, the world would be in chaos. I mean, because nobody would pay anyone. I mean, they would withhold. There would be bankruptcy to get out of obligations. It's just a horrendous way to do business. I mean, I've done business with people, something like that, close to that in this area. Yeah. And you walk away from them.
I'm done. Unfortunately,
with the United States, we're not so lucky.
No, it's a good point. I think I've always been told by my friends who are in economics or finance that, like, you want sustainability, you want predictability, you want it to be
stability.
Stability is exactly what we're going for. And I feel like, aside from, like, theories about, like, market manipulation, this isn't serving anything, right? It just feels like it's this unnecessary chaos for the sake of, like, I don't know, pride. It feels weird.
It's very close to the truth, unfortunately.
It makes you feel icky, but. If we can, Anthony, I do want to ask you a couple more questions here while we have you. And again, thank you for being here. What's your thoughts? We talked about representation earlier. Do you want to talk a bit about representation in terms of now that you're, not seeking seats, and now that you have this new, area of your life? We mentioned earlier representation. I think a big critique that people gave Justin early on, which is part of his initial campaign, I believe, was looking at evaluating the first past the post system.
Yes.
Right. And I know that was in certain areas a very hot debate. I'm going to do something that Ben will never ever hear me say again. As a young person, because I always make fun of myself in the studio that I'm older than Ben and I'm old.
Relatively speaking, you're a lot younger than I am.
Relatively speaking. But it was something that I care about because I want to make sure that if there's two candidates that I like or two parties that I'm okay with, I want to make sure that I put those two first to see if we can get somewhere that would eventually, whether it's through a rank system or proper representation, that it just kind of feels like more people are having their voices heard. What's your thoughts on how difficult that change could have happened, and what's your thoughts now?
Well, I know there was a lot of effort went into it because they put a committee together, a special committee. They even made it so that all the parties were represented.
Okay.
I remember the chair, actually, who is now the present speaker of that committee, he just had a hard time getting them to agree on something.
Right.
And there's different ways of looking at it. I mean, the first past the post, it seemed like the Conservatives wanted to keep the first past the post the way it was. The NDP and the Greens wanted proportional, mainly because they do get a certain amount of percentage, but it doesn't translate into seats. And the Liberals were looking at either keeping it the way it was or a preferential ballot where you rank your ballot, which would be my favorite one. Now, the sad part there is it'll point towards, the middle party will probably get most of the votes because people will shift from, okay, my first choice might be Liberal, my second will be Conservative, and then we'll go to NDP third or vice versa. I'm not sure that's so much the case because, I like to think of it when I vote is I vote for the person. So depending on the people that are here in the riding, that would change who my second choice would be. Mm-hmm. On the proportional system, which has been promoted a lot, I have an issue with that one because on proportional systems, and there's mixed member proportional systems where you have a person from the riding and a person from the party. Part of the problem we have in Ottawa and in Toronto, as far as I'm concerned, is that the parties overrule everything, basically. They take care of what you're going to do, and they really put pressure on you, okay?
Yeah.
Now, right now, with the first past the post or even a preferential ballot, the individual is beholden to the electorate, the people who put him there or put her there. And that, to me, is very important. If you were to have a proportional system where you have a list and that list is put together by the party, your allegiances suddenly shift from the person that elected you or the person who's voting to the party. And you don't get the people who are out there, being a little bit different or even speaking up at all. And they don't have that freedom and they don't have the right to represent their country. And the reason that's so important to me, if you have a country that's smaller, that's great. Like Israel. And they've got their problems as well. They don't have a perfect system. But it's a smaller country where people are representing the country. Mm-hmm. You take a look at a country like Canada with the size of it and how important it is to have geographic representation in Ottawa. I always kid with people and say, I spent half my time talking to people from Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal to explain to them that North Bay, New Liskeard, and smaller communities are not the same as theirs, and we have different areas or different interests and different needs. So to me, that was my job, was to make sure that, look, if we're putting legislation together, it has to work not only in the big centers, but also in the smaller communities and rural. Mm-hmm. So when we start expanding and looking across Canada, we need that representation. That's something that I don't feel the proportional system will give us. I know there's, again, going back to the mixed member, talk to some of the MPs from countries who have mixed member proportional representation. And what you'll find is the ones who are on the national list, yeah, they do what they have to do, and they're catering to the party, whereas the ones who are there for their constituents, they're running their tails off and really working hard trying to make it. And it comes down to what gets decided, but what gets decided is usually what the party wants.
Right.
And it's not as efficient and it's not as representative as people would like to think it is.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think all systems have some pros and cons.
Oh, there's no perfect system out there.
There's no perfect system.
No,
trust me. Yeah, I hope everyone knows that there is no right answer here. But I think the frustration with first past the post historically, is that it feels like, especially lately, when everything is so black and white, or it feels black and white, that I knew a lot of people who might have voted NDP historically, would have voted for the Liberals in the last election because they just didn't like Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
And so, or the conservative person in that riding.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I am more closely related, and the Greens, with all due respect, probably weren't going to win that riding in almost but one place. They're going to vote for the party that has the best chance. And it just feels like we're kind of getting closer to our friends in the South.
I look at the NDP and they're not even they don't even have party status anymore. And they do contribute a lot. They do bring a certain view that they can influence things. And I think that's important because you have to have that representation there. But that's where, let's say, a preferential ballot. And I think something to think about is what do most parties use when choosing a leader or a candidate?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm telling you, it's a preferential ballot.
Oh, okay.
I am asking you, but I'm telling you, it's a preferential ballot.
I was like,
so if they know better and they do it that way, well, maybe we should look at it. So, I mean, that's my own preference. But, I mean, the idea there is...
It's a really good point.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, but I think you're right.
You're supposed to put me on the spot, not me put you on the spot.
It's what we do, Anthony. Okay.
No, but when you look at it that way is if you've got a preferential ballot and you've got, say, 5 people to rate, and you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And the 5th one you won't because it doesn't matter. But whoever you put second, should you fall off the ballot, it will allow them to collect your votes.
Correct.
And all of a sudden you've got someone that, okay, I can live with that person. It's not black or white.
Yep.
Now, the reason I bring that up is because one of the things we talk about a lot is how terrible politics has gotten lately.
Well.
And how vulgar and how violent and just the vitriol that comes out. Now, if you and I are running against each other, and
good luck to Chris.
And I think, okay, Chris is running. He's got a good chance, but I think I got a good chance as well. I want to attract your voters to me, right? If you don't make it before I do.
Right.
Am I going to tell them you're full of crap? Am I going to call you names? Am I going to say bad things about you? Because if I am, I'm alienating that whole group.
Yeah.
Instead, tell me what you can do for me. And that's something I've always believed in. I mean, I've never shot down somebody else. It's all about, okay, that's a nice idea, but here's my way of doing it, and here's what I'd say. And I think it would really civilize politics in Canada.
I like that. I think that brings us back to, maybe what Canadians do best, is disagree politely.
Yes, exactly.
Is that we can disagree on a lot of things, but if we can do it in a really Canadian way, patient, forgiving. I know it's a lot of stereotypes, but things that where we can, if we can disagree on something fundamentally, but I can still shake your hand. I don't want it to be where I don't want to look at you or you don't want to look at me because we disagree on stuff. I don't want it to be that way because we have to go to work with people who disagree with us. We have to go to family events.
Exactly.
People who disagree with us.
Part of what I used to do in Ottawa was if there was an issue or something, I'd be sent over. I'd go down to the Conservative side or to the NDP side because to me it was about getting along with people.
Right.
It didn't matter. I wanted to see the outcome, not the victory to quash somebody.
Yeah. So I have one more question before we get out of here, Anthony. You kind of mentioned something about it earlier, but when it comes to the whole, it's related to the voting system.
Yes.
And the parties and how we get elected, and how you might agree or disagree with party lines. In our current system, how hard would it be for an MP who might disagree on something that the party might be in favor for to voice their opinion and feel like they're a part of the party, but also be a part of themselves, represent their own constituents back home. Like, how hard is that?
It's very difficult. I mean, sometimes some stuff would come up and you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, I can't vote for this. There's no way. And depending on what it is, I've had many occasions where I voted against my party. I let them know ahead of time and go from there. But I've also had cases where here's what the legislation is, and but it is a confidence matter. Mm-hmm. My way of dealing with it was I would talk to whoever put and usually it was the party itself, leadership. Yeah. This is not something I can support. And you can't vote against a confidence matter because then you're bringing down your government. And that's political suicide. Yeah. But you can abstain from a vote.
Right.
And I've done that a number of times where, now I'm not going to vote for this, but I'm not going to vote against it because it is a party policy. But you just abstain from it. So It can be done. Very uncomfortable. And I've done it before where your whole party's voting for something, and you're voting against it. There's maybe 3 or 4 of you who vote against it. It's not comfortable.
I can imagine it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because there's so many things now where it does feel so divisive, and we talk about we talked about Israel. We didn't actually talk about Israel, but we talked about how complicated Israel is right now.
It's not an easy situation out there. And I mean, yeah. I'll leave that one alone before I get in trouble.
That's a whole other episode, yes, exactly. Which for our North Bay podcast, we might have to treat delicately. But there's so many different parts that we're all gonna not totally agree on. Because I don't think you take a person who voted for the Liberal Party from North Bay, mm-hmm. and you take someone who voted for the Liberal Party in I don't know, Calgary, right, which is a very different election. They would agree on different things, even though they voted for the same party. And then when you put those people together, if they happen to be elected together, how do they even come to terms on stuff? And I guess it comes down to what's the need of the
and most legislation, when it's non-confidence or when it's not confidence votes, then you're fine. You can vote the way you want, and it's usually fairly open. I mean, there are a lot of bills that come forward, and you don't have to vote along with your party, mm-hmm. and that happens. I mean, it's just normal. The way I usually explain it when I'm in the classroom is I talk to students and I'd say, "How many of you have a best friend?" And everybody would raise their hand, of course, because everybody has a best friend. And they said, "Okay, how many of you do everything that best friend tells you to do?" Not many would raise their hand. The odd one would kind of raise their hands, and I would kind of say, well, if your best friend is doing something bad, would you do it? Oh, no, you don't want to do it. And some of them would go along with it, but most of them would say no. I said, consider your political party as a best friend. Mm. And it's probably your best friend because he's probably your best friend because, or she's your best friend because you think along the same lines and you have a lot of the same beliefs. But there are some things that are different. And that's where you have to talk to your friend and let them know that, hey, this doesn't work, or this isn't the right thing. Sometimes you can convince them otherwise, and other times you just let them do their thing, and you have to say, no, I'm not going to do it along with you. So that's where I look at a party as like a good friend. And to influence things, if you're really interested in politics, join the party and change it from within. And that's where you really get the results, because sometimes you can, but sometimes you can't. But if you're part of it, then you get to shape where that party's going and what the policy is going to be.
Right. And I think we're in this new age of Canadian politics now where, we are uncertain of our neighbor, which is different, historically different. To any young, aspiring, young politician or person who's looking going into politics, just to kind of continue on that point, what would you say to that person to be like, here's how you get involved, here's how you can make a difference, even if you believe something different than me, here's how to make your voice be heard?
Yeah, I mean, again, join a party that reflects what you believe in. And I usually tell students, make a list of what you believe in and then compare it to a list of the different parties and what they stand for and choose that party. There's no right or wrong party. There's people who want to make a difference and make Canada a better place. And that's what it's all about. And if it's one party or another, I don't think it really matters. It matters that you get involved, because people who say that politics isn't important to me, that's a load of crap. It affects everybody's life every day. Yeah. And if you're not taking the time to be a part of it, then you're letting it just basically sweep you around wherever you end up. So you want to make sure that you have a say in your life. And I think politics, when it comes to Canada and any country, like it or not, it's a reality that you want to make sure that you're a part of.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I like that. Anthony, one last question for you. I keep saying one last question. This one's the hardest hitting question. Did you stay up to watch the Jays last night? Did you stay up?
No, I didn't. I went to bed. I didn't even watch the beginning. My wife is a baseball fanatic.
Yeah, I thought so.
She watched it, and she usually reports to me. I heard it was very close, 18 innings, and there was a bad call in there apparently. Yeah. I heard all about that as well.
I stayed up. I watched all 18. I went to bed very late. Don't do as I say, or do as I say, do as I do. Don't do this. It was fine. It was kind of boring. You could tell they were so tired.
Oh, I mean, it must be exhausting because I mean, like, this is a physical. You're out there, you're standing, and yeah,
they went through the whole pitching bullpen. Anyway, but it feels like this is kind of for those who don't know what we're talking about. Welcome to the Sportscast, where it's the World Series with the Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers, which has become this kind of like new platform for international policy.
Canada versus U.S.
I'm getting so sick of it. It feels like we're going through the what was the four? Was it the Four Corners Cup? Whatever it was called. Ben, can you help me with this? What was the four countries who were competing? Four nations. Thank you. Where it felt like when we got to the end, it was Canada and the States, and it was very heated. But I was like, it's kind of fun, but it also makes me uncomfortable because, like, I just want everyone to have a good time. Like, I want the Jays to win. I don't have to be a referendum on Canada. But I mean, hopefully, by the time this airs, the Jays are out of it. This will air on Thursday. We are recording this today on Tuesday, October 28th. So go Jays, go.
There's a game tonight.
There's a game tonight.
And we'll see how that goes. And then back to Toronto, I guess.
I think they have one more game in LA.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, that's right, too. They've got 3 first, and then they come over. So
danger zone. But, but again, Anthony,
if they did that well, on foreign turf,
they're so close.
Then they should be able to hold their own by tomorrow night.
But like, I was struggling to get out of bed today. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything when I get home when I'm relaxed, let alone play anything.
I slept like a baby last night. It was great.
Jealous. I'm jealous. I'm going to try to do that tonight. But Anthony, I'll get you out of here. Thank you again for joining us.
It was a pleasure, Chris, as always.
We're going to have you in at some point, hopefully in the future, to talk about maybe as we get towards 2026, maybe the municipal stuff, because that's not that far around the corner.
No, it'll be here before you know it.
I know. It flies. Time.
1 year.
Oh my gosh. Time flies. Yeah, it's soon. So maybe we'll get you to come in as like a correspondent to get some insight.
It'll be interesting.
Or whatever you want to share. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Anthony.
Pleasure's always mine.
And we'll talk to you soon.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much for listening or watching the Echo Essentials podcast. My name, as always, is Chris Piekarski. Let us know what you thought about the episode. If you have any opinions on what we talked about today, let us know. Share your opinions. If you get a chance as well, make sure to leave us a like, share the episode, subscribe on all various platforms, including YouTube. If you get a chance also, check out the Echo Essentials newsletter or our website to get all things Echo and North Bay related. Thanks so much for listening.